Oh yeah, said we back in business. Ha ha ha. Said we back in business. All right, y'all. Welcome back to Final Boss Auto Hub. And I got some news about what's going on over at Chevy, right? I've been hearing some things, and I think you guys might have seen this too. But as we know, like Chevy is flirting with bringing back the Camaro or using the nameplate somehow, right? So Chevy, as you know, the Camaro was originally created as a Ford Mustang rival. And, you know, history is now kind of repeating itself. And it seems like Chevy is going to reintroduce the Camaro, but not as we normally would know it. It seems like Chevy is flirting with the idea of bringing it back out as a EV fastback SUV. Basically something similar to as what Ford Mustang did with the Mach-E. Or I should say what Ford did with the Mach-E. But let's cut to the chase, right? I'm not going to sugarcoat this video. This is a quick video I had to shoot because this is getting ridiculous. This is dumb. I'm sorry, y'all. Like, I try to be as unbiased as possible when I make these videos, but this is dumb. This is like, so you discontinue one of your most popular cars ever created in America and for your brand, besides the Corvette, to bring it back as an electrical crossover SUV. Like, you dead ass? Like, that's what we're doing? That's the best you can do. Chevy, you just did the Corvette. Like, you blew the car world open by doing the Corvette and making it as a hypercar. Like, I was just praising you about 2 weeks ago in some of my videos, but to do this doesn't make any sense. Like, can someone please tell me, like, how this makes sense? This doesn't make any sense. So now, if you wanted to add this Camaro, right? You wanted to add a crossover SUV, essentially like what Ford did in the same manner, and, you know, bring out the original Camaro, redesign it, do what you have to do, and then bring out the Camaro also as a crossover SUV. I mean, to create some competition, I can see that, but discontinuing the original Camaro altogether is just not the smartest move here. I don't see it being the smartest move. Like, Ford is still essentially making the Mustang. That's still one of their best-selling cars, and so was the Camaro for your brand. And for you to kind of discontinue it at this time to bring it back as an electrical crossover, it's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling. Like, as you've seen with the Mach-E, right? It's not directly the most popular car sold by Ford. Like, you would see it here and there, especially when it was just created. And you can basically see it even popularized by the athletes and the rappers and things of that nature. But it disappeared pretty quickly. And if you do this with the Camaro, essentially the same thing would happen. You see it here and there. You see it in a couple of videos, rap videos, or just like crib style type videos, and the athletes having it for a bit, and then it'll basically disappear when it's no longer that popular. The same thing that happened with the Mach-E is the same thing that will happen with this Camaro if you ever decide to do it in this manner. Like, at this point, it seems like car companies get a kick out of upsetting their core consumers and then get surprised when nobody purchases the car or the product that they're trying to sell. Like, you continuously go against the wishes of your loyal consumers and sell things that they don't want. And sometimes, not even sometimes, a lot of times the shit makes no sense. It's like, it's one thing if you have to change up how you make cars due to the emissions and how regulatory laws are being changed and things of that nature. But if you don't have to follow that, why are you building cars that nobody wants? Like, it doesn't make no sense. And you've seen the same thing that happened with Jaguar. They rebranded themselves and the CEO had to resign because it was dumb what they were doing. It was stupid. It was stupidly dumb. It doesn't make any sense. Dodge did the same thing. Dodge essentially tried to go away from V8s and do all EV. All of a sudden, the six cylinder twin turbo is coming out. All of a sudden, you're hearing about rumblings about the V8s going back in Chargers. All of a sudden, you hear that the Wranglers are only going to be V8 going forward. They're basically learning that nobody wants this from their brand. And they're essentially hemorrhaging money by doing these things. And Chevy, you can't just do something that big in terms of developing a mid-engine Corvette that essentially a lot of people can afford and then making different trims of it to go up in brand and then making a hypercar, which is awesome, to do something like this with the Camaro. It doesn't make sense. It's almost like you're trying to handicap your brand. To me, it's dumb. Like you better off doing what some of these other brands are starting to do. They're starting to go into more of the hybrid realms. They're starting to go back more into their history, like Dodge is going back to V8s and making more powerful cars with the great sounds, but they're still making some EV options, or at least twin turbo options, to offset, giving people the variety of wanting things different as well as meeting emissions, but staying close to their heritage. You need to get back to that, because if you release that Camaro, all the goodwill that you have earned from this Corvette and the things that you're doing is just going to go down the drain. Yeah, it doesn't, all this good work that you guys are doing is just going to go down the drain by making this move. And you guys are GM is such a big billion-dollar company. You have some of the smartest people in the world in those board executive rooms. But the thing I'm wondering is, do you have down-to-earth people in those executive rooms as well? People who drive regular cars or can't afford the top cars of the brand, who's around other regular folks, who's around other car folks, who can speak up for these things and let you know, like, hey, Mr. CEO, this is not the move to make for the brand. This will kind of kill the brand. You might want to take the left here and then maybe come back to this at some point. But what you're thinking right now is not the greatest move. So I say that to say this, like, car companies, with all that's going on in the world, you see that in the EU, Mercedes-Benz are now speaking up. Mercedes is basically speaking up to the EU and letting them know, like, hey, you guys got to peel back some of these EV stuff. All these brands, European automakers, are basically appealing to the EU to tell them to peel back, because their companies are failing. Nobody is buying EVs of the nature that you think it was going to sell. EV, to me, and what I'm seeing, is still more of a niche kind of thing. Somebody with money, some people who don't really care about cars like that. Some people just have the means. Hey, I'm just going to buy this EV because it's just better to do it. It's still a niche thing. It's not a necessity thing. It's not the most convenient thing either. You got to find places to charge it. If you can't put it in your own home, which that can cost a lot of money, you got to sit at charging stations for 30 minutes to an hour, depending on the car and the charge. It's just not the most convenient thing to do, So I say that to say this again. Camaro, get your stuff together. Camaro. Chevy, excuse me. You need to get the Camaro together, but Chevy, get it together. Get it together. Get back to your heritage. Get back to the things that make your brand pop. Like, you did the Corvette well, let's get to the Camaro now. Boom. Let's get back to the Silverados and those trucks and things that people love. Boom. Let's maybe develop a 4-door car that people will like. And yes, maybe put a V8 in that mug. Make it all-wheel drive. Maybe do a twin turbo 6-cylinder 4-door car that people will like. There are so many things you guys can do to make money and rebuild your brand, opposed to this Camaro EV thing. It's not the way to go. It's not the way to go. But, everyone, thank you for coming back, and thank you for listening to my TED Talk. And I'm gonna get off my soapbox now. I'm just passionate about this stuff. I know my videos are taking a little bit longer to come out than usual, but as I said, I'm in the process of moving. So videos will be coming out a little bit more consistent by next month. But for those of you who's tuning in, thank you. I appreciate it. The Final Boss Auto Hub TV, we still building, we growing. I'm still working. This is a passion of mine, and I'm gonna keep doing it. All right, y'all. Thank you for showing up. And like, subscribe, comment, and let me know what you think. Let me know if I'm bugging out for thinking this is a dumb thing Camaro, or Chevy, I should say, is doing. All right. Final Boss Auto Hub out.